Amendment number 223, printed in House Report number 115-297, offered by Ms. Jackson Lee of Texas.
Pursuant to House Resolution 504, the gentlewoman from Texas, Ms. Jackson Lee, and a member opposed, each will control 5 minutes. The chair recognizes the gentlewoman from Texas.
I thank the chairman very much, and I thank the managers of this legislation. Mr. Chairman, any member of Congress or any elected official have had the sad duty of going to a child's funeral. Most of us in the Christian faith have heard maybe the same words said often in the place of worship in the funeral service, no matter who it is, and that is that a child should not go before their parents. We have seen the brokenness and, of course, the absolute despair of that family that has lost a child. Unfortunately, as we have found in Hurricane Harvey, when people have looted victims of the hurricane, it's unfortunate that bad things can happen to good people. And so the families of deceased children are victimized. They are saddened by the loss of their child, whether it is an accident that is tragic or a sickness. And then because those names are printed and become public, they are victimized again. Like Alexis Agan was 4 years old when she died last year from a brain tumor. As her parents grieved from their daughter's loss, someone else paid attention to the details of her death too. An identity thief was easily able to get Alexis' personal information after she died. Her parents had no inkling until they went to file their taxes. Then, to their astonishment and despair, they learned that someone else had already filed a tax return using Alexis' Social Security number and claiming her as a dependent. The Agans soon learned they were one of many. Within an hour of learning that my daughter's Social Security number had been compromised and stolen, said Jonathan Agan, no fewer than 14 other parents whose children passed away due to cancer contacted us and advised us that their children's Social Security numbers likewise had been stolen. Americans are told to jealously guard their Social Security numbers, but after one dies, the government goes public with that covered information. It is included on the master death list. There is no dedicated person in the IRS to deal with these broken and grieving families. And so simply they become victims. By the time they may find out, someone has bought a house, someone has taken their luxury vacation, got many credit cards, and used this dead child to abuse this family again. The Jackson Lee Amendment is simple. What it does is it provides a dedicated person funding to the IRS Taxpayer Advocate Service for the purpose of assisting the parents of a deceased child where that child's identifying information has been stolen and fraudulently used on a personal income tax return filed with the IRS. A simple request, Mr. Chairman, a simple request. If the Taxpayer Advocacy Office is what it is, and if anyone has tried to use it, including members of Congress, we know there needs to be a dedicated person just to answer the phone of the grieving parent who finds out through IRS filing that they're being abused again and their beautiful angel is being used for ugly and evil works of someone who would use that deceased child to their advantage. I ask my colleagues to support the amendment, and I reserve my time.
Gentlewoman reserves. What purpose does the gentleman from Georgia rise?
Mr. Chairman, I rise in opposition to the amendment.
The gentleman is recognized.
Mr. Chairman, as we come to the last amendment on the last bill of this appropriations season, I was hoping we could end it on a positive note. Unfortunately, I have to oppose this amendment. I respect her thoughts on this. It's a compelling story that she shared with us. And a lot of families have been impacted by identity theft, and it's certainly something that concerns me and our entire committee. We've worked through this. In fact, in May of this year, I held an oversight hearing and questioned top officials about this and their efforts to reduce identity theft. Additionally, the financial service bill that we're speaking of here includes targeted funds to combat identity theft, as well as additional reporting requirements to monitor the IRS's progress in this area. In fact, overall identity theft referrals from the Taxpayer Advocate are down. They're down right now. It's not perfect. They're not at zero, but they're moving in the right direction, as are inventory receipts in the IRS Identity Theft Victim Assistance Office. Our committee, myself along with Mr. Quigley and the entire committee, we've had to make a lot of tough funding choices throughout this season. It's not been easy. There's a lot of very worthy programs that we wish we could fund more. Unfortunately, we just can't do all that's been requested by all the members. There's been a lot of great creative ideas and ways to help taxpayers and our constituents. But in this case, with this in this line item, we didn't cut anything. In fact, it's been flat funded. It's at the same level that was funded last year. And that comes in a portion of our appropriations budget here that we're talking about that's been cut on average 6+% overall. This one line item, though, remained static. And that should speak a lot to our committee and their work to find ways in which to provide additional resources to combat identity theft. Mr. Chairman, as we wrap this up, I want to thank you for your patience today and over the last many weeks, and everyone else, and thank the Committee on Appropriations, Chairman Frelinghuysen, and all the great work by the House of Representatives as we wrap up this final amendment with my opposition to the amendment and urge the House to vote no. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back.
How much time do I have, Mr. Chairman?
Gentlelady has 1 minute.
The last time I was on the floor, I mentioned that I was disappointed, and my friend on the other side made a remark that we all come here and are disappointed. I'm saddened by the comment that he made earlier, and I'm saddened by his response now, because this is simply asking for a dedicated person, and the offset is the operations account. Doesn't matter what conversations and what we've done. It's a simple, direct response to the pain of people. This is a mountain if it happens to you. It's not whether we're coming down or we've had conversations. It's a mountain. And so I would simply say the San Francisco Chronicle, identity thefts have stolen tax refunds of more than 490,000 dead persons. This massive list continues. The IRS initiated approximately 900 identity theft-related criminal investigations out of 490,000. So what if you're this parent of a dead child? I just said have a person dedicated to taking your calls. That's all I'm asking in this amendment, with a slight offset. It doesn't make any sense. Alexa's parents did not discover the crime until they had filed their taxes. How many others have not? So I ask my colleagues, out of the goodness of their heart, this is the last amendment, and I don't think any manner of conversation about what I did yesterday and what I did last year is going to be helpful. I ask my colleagues to support the Jackson Lee Amendment to help the parents of deceased children. With that, I yield back, Mr. Chairman.